The man recently noticed that his wife, who used to revolve around him all the time, suddenly became very distant. The man even asked her, "Don't you know I'm back?" The woman coldly replied, "I don't know." He then asked why she didn't wait to have dinner with him. Immediately, the wife ignored him and went upstairs on her own. The next day, the wife, who usually dressed conservatively, actually wore a lively and playful dress. The man was puzzled, wondering how his wife seemed like a completely different person. What he didn't know was, the wife had just been diagnosed with late-stage cancer a few days ago. She had at most 6 months left to live. She reflected on her 24 years of life and realized that she had never truly lived for herself. When at her parents' house, she had to be a sensible and well-behaved socialite. In short, she was just a tool for the family's arranged marriages. Later, she married this prince of the social circle. She devoted herself to playing the role of the perfect wife. But her husband never looked at her properly. Even if she tried to get closer, he would deliberately avoid her. Now her life was nearing its end, yet she couldn't find a moment of happiness for herself. So for the first time, she turned down all social engagements with other wealthy wives. Determined that this time, she would live for herself. Just as she got home, the butler reminded her that the boss would return from his business trip in half an hour, so she could go prepare dinner. But she directly told the butler to have the maid cook instead, and only for him. The butler was stunned. He couldn't help but ask why she wasn't cooking for the boss herself. The woman replied, "He has hands, he can do it himself." This shocked the butler greatly. Because the previous wives were never like this. Usually, when the boss returned, dinner would already be prepared and waiting. Now, she was leisurely sitting on the sofa playing games. Even when he tried to speak first, she seemed a little impatient. This contrast made the boss feel strangely uncomfortable. The next morning, the wife was still distant and cold, eating breakfast by herself. At this time, the boss's brother came over. He had always thought the woman was a spy arranged by the stepmother. He disliked her from the start. He deliberately spoke harshly to warn her, saying that no matter what she did, she could never win his brother's heart. He also said that she was just a nominal wife forced upon his brother. In 2 years, after the boss dealt with the company's old issues, the first thing he would do is divorce her. But the woman didn't say a word and didn't bother to argue. After a while, she suddenly called out the boss's name. The brother was scared silent, not daring to move. When he realized he had been tricked, he furiously grabbed the woman who was trying to leave, wanting to teach her a lesson. The woman shouted the boss's name again behind him. This time, the brother wasn't fooled at all and raised his hand to strike her. But he didn't expect that this time the boss was really standing right behind him. The boss immediately shouted at his brother in a stern voice. Then he told his brother to apologize to the woman. The brother had no choice but to reluctantly lower his head and admit his mistake. The woman sneered and turned to leave. But the boss grabbed her and said there would be a family dinner at the old mansion tonight, and he'd pick her up later. The woman coldly agreed. Then she forcefully shook off his hand and left without looking back. The brother was utterly confused. He asked why his brother would defend a supposed spy. The boss calmly said that even if she was a spy, she was still his legal wife. Giving her respect was his duty as a husband. 2 years ago, he was forced into the marriage because his influence wasn't enough. Even if it wasn't her, it would have been another woman. Moreover, over the years she had indeed been attentive and caring to him. Meanwhile, the woman spent the whole morning getting her hair styled and colored. This was one of the things she wanted to do for herself before dying. The boss was immediately struck by how dazzling she looked. Once in the car, his gaze was unconsciously drawn to her even more. Soon, they arrived at the old mansion together. The boss first went to the study, leaving the woman alone to face the elders and relatives. The stepmother pretended to be friendly and came over. She asked if the couple's relationship had been good lately. She also said the boss was cold and hard to get close to. She told the woman to pay more attention and be more accommodating. Unexpectedly, the woman didn't even think and directly replied, "Don't worry about it." Hearing this, all the elders there gasped. Immediately, a group of them started lecturing her one after another, asking why she dyed her hair, saying that perming and dyeing were bad for health and could affect fertility. They also demanded she never do this again. Then they said that since she was married, she shouldn't dress so flashy. They suggested she copy the family rules several times and reflect on herself. The woman thought, "I don't have much time left anyway, nothing to fear." She immediately retorted, leaving no one unchallenged. She exposed everyone's hidden thoughts and family secrets publicly. Everyone was left speechless. The stepmother pretended to mediate, saying everyone was just concerned for her and there was no need to take it so seriously. But the woman had no intention of giving her face. She stood up and said that only they themselves knew if their intentions were genuine or fake. Then she mercilessly exposed the stepmother's intentions. saying that as an illegitimate child, the boss returned to this family and in just 5 years, he surpassed the son she had raised for 30 years. The stepmother had secretly schemed to harm him. But even if the boss hadn't returned, with her 2 sons, one was useless and the other dull-witted, how much of the inheritance could they really get? This time, the woman was completely tough at home, feeling satisfied after confronting them. Seeing no one dared speak, the woman spoke again calmly, saying that she wasn't looking at the 2 of us with good intentions, letting these relatives cling to her without letting go. After saying this, she turned around and realized that the boss had been standing at the door all along.